Hello again, Skeleton Crew, and welcome back to another episode of the Skeleton Crew Fight Club podcast. It's me, Justin, and today, we're going to try something a little different, a little new. For those of you who don't know, I do a little thing called vlog-entaries. Vlog-entaries. It's a conjunction, is that the right word, of vlog and commentary, where I do commentary over vlog footage of, something that I've done. And conventionally, I've only ever put those up on YouTube by themselves within, it's just one singular piece of content. Well, in an effort to kind of keep the multi-channel, multi-outlet kind of thing alive, I'm going to add the audio track here on the podcast channel. So it'll exist as a vlogmentary with, the commentary over the footage. But also here as something to just listen to. So hopefully it's entertaining just to listen to. As entertaining just listening to it as it is watching it, which is going to add there's going to be a challenge there for me where I'm going to have to remember that there are people only listening, not watching as well. And I'm going to have to keep it entertaining for audio audiences as well. It's going to be interesting. But I figure, it's, and I'm not doing it for all of them. I'm going to do it for like the longer ones. So it is like an hour's worth of, commentary recording. So why squander that amount of content on one outlet? You know what I mean? It could double as a podcast, just like the commentaries for the Disney films that I've been doing. Why not do the same thing with this? So it might work, it might not, but hopefully it does, because I got quite a bit. I've fallen behind on a bunch of stuff. So this particular vlogmentary is a day at the Magic Kingdom in Walt Disney World. We took a family trip to Disney World a few months ago, and I'm just now getting around to I just now recently edited all the footage together, and I'm just now able to do the commentary for it. And the embarrassing thing is, we have since gone back to Disney World and gone back to Magic Kingdom, so I have a whole nother trip to edit and do commentary to as well. So I figure, it's just even just as a way of getting caught up, I'm going to do it this way and utilize the audio from the commentary as a podcast as well, to keep this podcast channel, gasping for air. It's gasping for air right now, and I'm sending it a lifeline because, like I said, I've been falling behind. Dad life, man. Dad life and life in general is just so time consuming that it's hard to find outlets for everything. You know what I mean? But here we are. I digress. I guess I was gonna aim to do this at the end, but I'm probably just gonna throw the audio up and just post it. So I might as well promote this now. Skeleton Crew Fight Club.com is kicking. There's a whole bunch of new apparel up there available for you. Lots of fun, really cool designs that I'm really proud of in our Disnerd collection. So check that out, especially if the title of this podcast caught your eye, A Day at Magic Kingdom. I would presume if you're listening to this, then you are some sort of a Disney fan. And that would mean that there's bound to be something within that collection that'll tickle your fancy. So I highly recommend you go check that out. It is really the best, and it's not the only way, but it's the best way to support what we got going on here. If you don't see something you like for yourself, well, maybe see something you like for someone else. And you know what? That doesn't mean you got to buy it for somebody else, but maybe share it around. Even if you're just like, hey, this is a cool design. I'm not going to buy it for myself, but I'm going to share it and be like, hey, look at this really cool design from Leal Legacy and their Skeleton Crew Fight Club gear. Yes, I would very greatly appreciate it. I guess the best way to support what we're doing is to share the podcast, watch the YouTube videos, share the YouTube videos, and, social media and whatnot, which is Leal Legacy and or Skeleton Crew FC, and that's across all your favorite social media platforms. But really, check out the Disney collection at Skeleton Crew FightClub.com, because I'm really stoked on what I've pulled together up there. We have like Epcot centric designs. We got Magic Kingdom centric designs. We got designs inspired by the movies we've done commentary for. I always said I was going to do that. I said I was going to do a shirt or a design related to each commentary we've gotten through for the animated features. So we have two Snow White designs. We have one Pinocchio design, which I think is very clever. And then we have one Fantasia design. And then for our own characters, Spectre Spooks, Susie Spooks, and Lucky Leal, we got them up there in their, Disney attire. So if you're taking a trip to the parks yourself, why not pick up something flashy to wear? And no better place than Skeleton Crew brand. Oh, wait, no, that's not it. Skeleton Crew FightClub.com. No, that was the old one brand. So anyway, cool. Well, I don't know what the transition is going to be. I'm probably going to have to do some sort of opener for the Vlogmentary. So you're probably going to hear that here on the podcast feed. But on the Vlogmentary, none of this is going to be on there. So all of however many minutes this has been is strictly podcast feed only. So that's fun. There's an extra reason to listen to the podcast and watch the Vlogmentary. And if you're listening to the podcast, like I said, I'm going to try to keep this as entertaining as possible for the listener. But I definitely recommend you go when you check out the visuals too, because I shot a lot of cool footage on our day in Magic Kingdom, during our day at the Magic Kingdom. And then, like I said, we got another one coming up. This one is the whole family. So we took the big boys and the little boys. The one coming up, though, is just the little boys because we took them for their birthday. Because their birthdays are 5 days apart. So we did a little boy trip. Because when the little ones, Maverick and Rhodey, they're still too small to ride all the rides at the parks. So they end up kind of sitting on the sidelines for quite a bit of the day. So my wife and I decided that they deserved a trip where they were the focal point, and we did everything. We only did things that they were able to do as well. So that's not this trip. This trip is big kids included. So you'll see things like, Big Thunder, and I think maybe Tron footage. I don't know. We'll see. It's been a minute since I edited it all together, but anyhow. Hey, so here we go. Hope you enjoy it. This is a day in the Magic Kingdom. Oh boy, another vlogmentary. And here we are at the Magic Kingdom, or as I like to call it, not Disneyland. That's not fair. It's not Disneyland, but you know what? It's good. it's a silver medal to Disneyland, the gold standard. Something that's very not Disneyland about the Magic Kingdom is you got to travel into the Magic Kingdom from the parking lot, which I find very unique and actually I think is pretty cool. Because Disneyland, you can literally just walk up from the streets of Anaheim up to the gates of Disneyland. Magic Kingdom, once you park, you then have to go travel further to get to the park itself. And that adds like a whole nother kind of detachment from the ordinary. You know what I mean? I don't know if this is correct, but I feel like I've heard it somewhere. But it's like a mile away from the parking lot, a mile or so away from where you park when you're visiting the Magic Kingdom. And that's neat. I really enjoy that. I enjoy that from like an aesthetic point of view. I enjoy that from just the magical feeling kind of standpoint, because, you know, it really feels like it separates you from the mundane of every day, if that makes any sense. It should make sense, because it makes sense to me. We're a ferry boat family, by the way. You can either take the ferry boat or the monorail to the Magic Kingdom from the parking lot via the transportation center. I think so. I think that's what it's called. Probably not, but maybe. Either way, though, we like the ferry boats. And I like the ferry boat because it feels like another ride. You know what I mean? Not that the monorail doesn't feel like a ride, but how often do you ride a ferry boat in real life? Maybe where you live you do, but where I live, I don't. So it does add another element of flair to the experience. Disney World, even at the entrance, is just so much bigger than Disneyland or Magic Kingdom. You know, it's Disneyland, and so naturally you just want to call the counterpart to Disneyland, the East Coast counterpart to Disneyland, Disney World. But Disney World is the collection of the four independent parks. Magic Kingdom is just one of the parks that make up Disney World. So if you're going to talk about the Magic Kingdom, be specific and reference the Magic Kingdom. When we were there on this trip, that wasn't a floral Mickey Mouse in front of the train station. It was actually Minnie Mouse, which is somewhat, that was unique. Conventionally, it's Mickey Mouse. Not that time, though. That time it was Minnie. Just recently, our family has been to Magic Kingdom and Disneyland fairly close together in time, so the comparisons are pretty fresh in our minds. And one of the most obvious comparisons is the size. It's undeniable. Its size. I mean, Main Street USA is significantly bigger. The castle is significantly bigger. It's undeniable. I like the coziness of Disneyland. And because Disneyland is smaller, it feels like there's more going on. Maybe that's just like a me thing. But not so long ago, they painted Cinderella's castle to kind of match Sleeping Beauty's castle. They both have a pink tone to it. A fantastic way to start the day at Magic Kingdom is Fantasyland. I'm pretty sure normally we start in Fantasyland. I want to say more often than not we start in Fantasyland. But my wife would probably correct me. This time we started with Winnie the Pooh. And Winnie the Pooh has become a family favorite. Our little boys, Maverick and Rhodes, love Winnie the Pooh. They watch Winnie the Pooh, the many adventures of Winnie the Pooh, every day, without question. That is a daily watch for us. So getting to take them on the ride, the many adventures of Winnie the Pooh, is, it's a dream come true for them and us alike. I think that Winnie the Pooh is a must-do every time you go. Winnie the Pooh is a must-do. It is a must-ride every time. Now, for adults, you might think, like, why would I go on a kid's ride? Like, why is it a must-do every time if I don't have kids, or if I'm not with kids, or if I'm not with younger kids? It doesn't matter. It's the feel. It's the feeling you get being able to enter into the story. That goes for all the dark rides. Winnie the Pooh, Peter Pan, Little Mermaid, all of those rides that take you into the film, I think is a must-do, because it's kind of what the park is, one of the points of the park is to experience what you see. You know what I mean? I don't know, I'm tripping over my words. The carousel as well. I don't know if the carousel is necessarily a must ride every time, but who doesn't love a good carousel ride? Big kids, little kids. It's not always a must for us, but it's definitely something to do to fill the time. And I know saying that it feels kind of odd, like, it could come off as a throwaway experience, but it's not. What are you going to do? You're either going to walk around the park aimlessly, or you're going to spend some time riding something. It's not the most thrilling experience, but especially if you have little kids, it's definitely something that you're going to want to do. You get a nice little circular tour of Fantasyland too, and that's what's not to love about that. The music, all of it. I prefer to ride at night, though. Most outdoor things, I think I'd rather ride at night. I don't know if that's just a me thing, but the way everything lights up, I really feel like it adds to the experience. That's not to say it's not, outside rides aren't fun during the day, but definitely, it's definitely a different experience at night. I want to say, too, that the Magic Kingdom carousel is bigger than the one at Disneyland. I don't know if that's an accurate statement, but I feel like it's believable, isn't it? We got to see Cinderella's stepsisters by the carousel on this trip. That was exciting. I like roaming characters. I like characters that you can just kind of run into on the fly in the park. The meet and greets the meet and greets are something my wife loves to do, and I enjoy it too, but not to the degree she does. There's a Snow White dark ride in Disneyland, but Magic Kingdom has something a little different. It has a more thrilling version. It's kind of a mix of Thunder Mountain and a storybook dark ride, Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. It's actually the first ride at Magic Kingdom that my wife and I rode together when we first started dating. So this ride holds a special place in our hearts. So rarely do my wife and I get to ride these rides together, because normally, we're paired up with one of our kids. But on this trip, we got to experience most things side by side, and that was a fun treat. I love the dark ride element to this ride, even though the ride is somewhat more of a roller coaster kind of vibe. The dark ride portion is very beautifully done. Gems everywhere. You got the robotic Seven Dwarves mining, and it's hi-ho. One of the hands down the best Disney songs, one of the first, and definitely still one of the best. I like the combination though. I like the combination of thrill ride meets dark ride meets storybook ride. It's something that I kind of wish they do more of in the future. They have incorporated that kind of element a little bit more throughout the different parks, but Seven Dwarfs Mine Train is actually pretty unique for what it is. From Fantasyland, we ventured into Tomorrowland. And, with Genie Plus and just kind of the way things go now at the parks. So back in my day, there we go, being an old man. Back in my day, when we would go to Disneyland growing up, we kind of had like a counterclockwise way of experiencing the park. Now at Genie Plus and stuff, you're on your phone and you're mapping out like ride times and lightning lanes and all these kind of things where you're picking up on what's available and that's what you're going to do, instead of like doing everything in one land and then moving to the next, doing everything there, moving to the next, doing everything there. And I don't know, I guess I kind of prefer the old way that we used to do it. Back in the day, we growing up, we would always start with Space Mountain. That was always the first ride we would go to. And then, growing up as we got older, I don't know, we would kind of just go to Fantasyland and go from there. Because Fantasyland, is the straight shot down Main Street through the castle, and there you go, and you game plan from there. But growing up, when you had to race to the ride you wanted to do before lines stacked up, Space Mountain was often at the top of that list. Space Mountain or Matterhorn. If we started in Fantasyland at Disneyland, it was Matterhorn, but I don't know. My memory right now serves as us doing Space Mountain more as a first ride of the day kind of thing. I always try to avoid like comparing Disneyland to Magic Kingdom, but it's so hard to do, especially growing up going to Disneyland and now as an adult. Our family Disney trips are pretty much always Disney World. We do venture out to Disneyland when we feel like, we want to undertake that level of travel. But more often than not, if we're wanting to do just a standard Disney trip, it's going to be Magic Kingdom. And all that being said, the Space Mountain in Disneyland is my preferred Space Mountain. That's not to say that it's not fun at Magic Kingdom, but it's second best. you know what I mean? However, well, there are things that each Tomorrowland has that the other doesn't, but the things that they do have, that they do share, they both have Space Mountain. They both have Buzz Lightyear's a Buzz Lightyear ride. It's called something else in Disneyland than it is in Disney World. In Disney World, I believe it's Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin, maybe? Or is that Disneyland's? I think I got the name right. Another one that Disneyland has, the upper leg. The upper hand? Wait, which term, upper leg, upper hand? Which one means better? I don't know. Either way, I prefer the Disneyland one. And on the Buzz Lightyear and Magic Kingdom, the lasers. So if you don't know, the Buzz Lightyear ride is like a dark ride meets laser tag. And in the Magic Kingdom version, the gun, your laser gun, is connected to the ride car. So your range of motion isn't very wide. In Disneyland, the gun is connected to the car by a cord, so you can point that thing like up, down, to and fro, and get like a wide range of motion. So I personally prefer the Disneyland version for that reason, but that's a semantic. You know what I mean? For the most part, I think the experience, like the ride experience itself, is pretty much the same, if I remember correctly. We are a character meeting family, so we did get to meet Buzz Lightyear. We couldn't avoid meeting Buzz Lightyear because all our boys like Toy Story, but at the time that we went this time, Maverick was a big Toy Story fan. At the time, Toy Story was one of the movies that we watched every single day. Not so much anymore, but back then, it was a definite daily viewing. And you know what's the funny thing is about Maverick is he gets so starstruck by the characters. Like, he gets so excited to see the characters, but then he gets super adorably shy to this day. And that's been how he's been his entire life. And I say his entire life, he's 3 years old. But when we went this trip, he was 2. And yeah, it's so far it's a consistent characteristic within our Mav. All our boys enjoy meeting characters. Baden loves meeting characters. He doesn't get so starstruck. He I would say out of our 4 boys, but out of the 3 cognizantly aware that they're meeting someone that they recognize from movies and TV shows, I guess. Bane enjoys it the most. He doesn't, maybe Maverick does too, but Maverick definitely gets shy. Bane doesn't get shy. And Rylan Rylan enjoys it, but he's of the age where rides are the most important thing. Bane's getting there too, but Bane, you know, he would prefer to do a ride, but he still enjoys meeting characters. If we left it up to my wife, though, she would meet characters all day long, and rides would come second. On this trip to the Magic Kingdom, this is the first time that we had the opportunity to ride Tron, and Tron was pretty cool. That's something we did later on in the day, though. We had, so when we went, it was that time where I think maybe it's still the same way, where you have to get on, like, you have to score a spot on the virtual queue, and just hope for the best, which is such a bonkers way of doing things to me. But I mean, it's better than not being able to ride it at all. This little path that we're on now was new for when we were there this time around. It's a whole new entrance to Tomorrowland from Fantasyland. So that was fun. You're a diehard Disney park goer where a new entrance to a land wows you. It provides, it's something you want to see. You're like, oh, that's exciting. Because, like, is it really? Barnstormer was next up on our list after Buzz Lightyear. And Barnstormer, it's like a mini coaster for kids, you know, toddler size and up. And it was Maverick's first thrill ride. It's a good introduction for littles who, before taking them on, you know, rides like Big Thunder Mountain or Space Mountain or even Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, it's something you want them to experience to open that adrenaline gate. You know what I mean? It's like turning the faucet on for adrenaline. You're kind of, it's a little, you can turn the dial to just being a little stream instead of opening the floodgate entirely with something like Thunder Mountain. I would say in levels of thrillingness, it's Barnstormer, Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, and then Thunder Mountain, Space Mountain. Maverick was shocked, to say the least. It was something that he was not prepared for. And being 2 at the time, it was definitely something that couldn't really tell him, like, hey, this is going to be a new experience for you. It's going to be something like you've never experienced before. Before this was, you know, slower rides, mellow rides, Small World, Buzz Lightyear Spin, People Mover, like the little Journey Under the Sea with the Little Mermaid, things like that. Really, it's the most thrilling ride he had gone on before Barnstormer was probably Pirates of the Caribbean, just because it has that one, little drop. So we haven't tried again since that trip to introduce Maverick to a thrill a thrill type ride. It's not to say that Barnstormer's overly thrilling, but for a 2-year-old, it's pretty extreme. Something I love doing at Disneyland, but we had never done prior to this particular trip, was the train. And again, I don't necessarily like spending a whole lot of time comparing Magic Kingdom to Disneyland and vice versa, but I'm gonna do it again. The train ride at Magic Kingdom is relaxing. It's a nice opportunity to get off your feet, take a break, feel a bit of a breeze in the somewhat oppressive Florida heat. But Disneyland, I'm gonna say, is a little better. And better in the way of it has more interesting things to look at.
Hey, you guys slow down.
Possibly. I guess is the best way to put it. The Magic Kingdom train is, you still get a scenic view of each land, and there's, fun stuff to look at during the ride. But at Disneyland, you go through an indoor section where you go through like prehistoric times. You get to see like a prairie scene. There's just more to see on the Disneyland version of the train. But still fun. It's still a way to get around the park, I guess. I don't know if it's a faster way to get around the park, but it's definitely a way to where if you don't feel like walking from Tomorrow, or let's see, it doesn't stop in Tomorrowland. If you don't feel like walking from Fantasyland to Adventureland, or no, let's say this. If you don't feel like walking from Fantasyland all the way to the front of the park, the train is a fun option. And I'd say that because Fantasyland, where you enter the train at Magic Kingdom and Fantasyland, is really the furthest point from the front of the park that you can be, I guess, when it comes to the train. But I really feel like walking around the park is part of the fun when you're at the parks, because you get to see everything. The train, you only get to see so much, but when you're walking through the park itself, you get to see so much more. But again, hey, if you want to get off your feet, it's a fun thing to do. But at the same time, there are other fun things to do that accomplish the same goal. Like if you just want to get off your feet, I would recommend doing something like the People Mover, or Carousel of Progress, or what else? PhilharMagic, one of the shows like that. And those include air conditioning. And man, if you've ever been to Magic Kingdom in June, let's just say most months out of the year in Magic Kingdom, it's pretty brutal. Oh, here's a fun thing. Dumbo at Disneyland is pretty basic. Dumbo at Magic Kingdom is a little more of a fanfare. And it's a nice place to get into air conditioning and an opportunity for you as parents to get to sit down or just hang out in the AC, where and there's still something for kids to do. There's a whole indoor play area for kids that Magic Kingdom has that Disneyland doesn't. And that's pretty cool. I mean, we don't spend a ton of time in there. We have, like this trip right now, we have gone in there to get out of the heat and get into some AC. And I mean, there's something to be said about that. There's no greater joy in Florida in general than air conditioning, especially in the summer month, the spring, summer, and early fall months. We've recently discovered on our most recent trip to Disney World that February is a prime time to go. But Dumbo's a good ride. Dumbo's a fun ride. It doesn't look like the most exciting experience, but if you have kids, especially if you have kids, it's something really fun to do. Because, like here, you know, Bane was getting to control Dumbo going up and down, and then Maverick was just enjoying the experience in general. So, not a must-do every time, but it's something that we end up doing every time. A must-do every time, however, is Small World. Small World, without question, is something that we will do every single trip to both Magic Kingdom and Disneyland. It's just a staple. I don't know how you can go to Disneyland or Magic Kingdom and not ride It's a Small World. I don't know, like when I think of the parks, I automatically start singing Small World in my head more often than not. And here we go again. I prefer, and I'm not just saying this because I am a Disneyland, Disneyland was my park growing up. So that was my first experience. That was my most formidable memory experiences. Up until now, it was just different. It was different because I got to experience going to Disneyland as a kid. I get to experience going to Magic Kingdom as a dad. It's very different. It's very different. One's not better than the other, but I'm going to say this. The Small World at Disneyland has just more character to it. Not, you know what, I was going to say not more characters, but it also has more characters to it. There's something that Disneyland has that Magic Kingdom doesn't. Disneyland has Disney characters in the same design as the Mary Blair, standard Small World animatronics. Like the dolls, there you go, that's the word I was looking for, the dolls, the Small World dolls, that design, they have Disney characters done in that way, that designed in that same, they have Small World dolls themed as Disney character themed Small World dolls. Man, I don't know why that was so hard to get out. Anyway, Mary Blair is who developed the aesthetic for Small World, so it's a Mary Blair design for these Disney characters. Anyway, long story short, they got Disney characters within the ride at Disneyland, and they don't at Magic Kingdom, but it's still fun. It's still great to get that song stuck in your head. It's still and again, these indoor rides are a lifesaver when it comes to combating the heat, like, if nothing else. And weather is a big factor at Magic Kingdom. It will rain more often than not at some point during your trip in Magic Kingdom. It never rains in Southern California. So even just to stay dry, to avoid the momentary downpours that Florida famously has every now and then, you want to escape that. So ride small. It's a small world just for that reason alone. Aesthetically, I used to think Disneyland's Fantasyland was the superior version, but I'm starting to have a change of heart, because each time we go to Magic Kingdom, I notice more of the design of rides like The Little Mermaid. At Magic Kingdom in Fantasyland, they have not every princess, but a majority of the princesses. They have like their castles. They have Ariel's castle. They have Belle's castle. These aren't castles you can necessarily go into per se, but they're there. They're represented. So they got Cinderella's castle. They got Belle's castle. They got Rapunzel's tower. They got Ariel's castle. Did I already say that? So yeah, it's just interesting. It's things, nuances that I personally pick up on every trip. I will say one thing though. The Little Mermaid ride is one that we definitely do every single time we're there. And it's a fun experience. But man, does that ride need an update. The Ariel animatronics are so lifeless. It's kind of a bummer. And after going on rides like, let's just compare it to Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. The dwarves in Seven Dwarfs Mine Train are so alive and animated that when you go on the Little Mermaid ride, Ariel specifically, because Ursula looks great. Her size, her movement, everything about Ursula on the ride is great. However, every Ariel animatronic feels, like I was saying, just feels so lifeless. And if there's anyone you want some life from on a Little Mermaid ride, it's Ariel. Sebastian even is very alive feeling. Scuttle, yeah, man, I don't know. They don't need to do like a full ride refurbishment per se, but they definitely need to add a little life to Ariel. And I can't be the only one that feels that way. But anyway, back to Tron. This was our first time getting to ride Tron. And we were excited. How could we not be? It's a new thrill ride at Magic Kingdom. And, there aren't a lot of thrill rides at Magic Kingdom. There aren't a lot of thrill rides at Disneyland either. Let's see, there's Space Mountain, Big Thunder Mountain. There was Splash Mountain, but that's been shut down to be reimagined as Tiana's Bayou Adventure, but it's still going to be a thrill ride because it's still going to have that big Splash Mountain drop. And that's it, right? Space Mountain, Space Mountain, Thunder Mountain, Splash Mountain. So yeah, three thrill rides. Well, here's a new one, Tron. And it was really good. It was really good, really short. The visuals, however, were fantastic. And It's one that they don't recommend capturing any video of, or they did at the time, so I didn't. But since then, I've learned I have ways of capturing that experience. So the next time we go to Magic Kingdom, I'm definitely gonna get that. Tron, when we do family trips with the big boys, like big family trips, Tron will always be a must-do. We didn't do it this last time with the little boys because there's no point. We couldn't take them on it. However, a staple, must-do staple ride in Magic Kingdom, no matter if we have the whole family or just the little boys, is People Mover. There will never be a time that we go to Magic Kingdom where we do not ride the People Mover. It's just, it's everything. It's so simple yet so wonderful at the same time. It's like the train, kind of, but instead of going around the whole park, you just go around Tomorrowland. And I don't know, man. It's such like retro Disney. It's retro futuristic. You know what I mean? Does that make any sense to you? It's what the future was imagined to be in the past. If that makes any sense. Super relaxing, a wonderful way to escape the heat, and it's just, I don't know. It's an experience. It's something that just brings joy. You know what I mean? It's not fast. There are little kind of like fast-ish parts, but it's not fast. It's not thrilling. It's not. You know, a whole bunch to look at aside from like scenic views of Tomorrowland, but I don't know, man. It's just something that hits us in the heart. I definitely, for my wife and I can confidently say that for she and I, it's something that we must do every time. Bane likes it. Mav will go on anything we take him on. I think Rylan likes it too, but he's of the age where it's more like, Space Mountain, Big Thunder Mountain, Splash. He's a thrill seeker. So the relaxing experiences are a little. He's still a little too young to fully appreciate those on the level that adults can, I guess. But yeah, if you go to Magic Kingdom and you don't ride the People Mover, I don't know what's wrong with you. Disneyland used to have a People Mover way back in the day, but they don't anymore. So that's something that Magic Kingdom has over Disneyland for sure. Is a People Mover. And it's such a bummer. I wonder why they got rid of People Mover at Disneyland. Like, was it not popular? I think they, at some point, may have redesigned it into something else. I don't know, but it's a shame. It's a win for Magic Kingdom. Another major win for Magic Kingdom, also, that Magic Kingdom has that Disneyland doesn't, and doesn't have anymore. I think they used to have it, if I'm not mistaken. But Carousel of Progress. Carousel of Progress is a show more than it is a ride. It definitely moves, so technically, because it moves, I guess it could be considered a ride. But it's a theater. It's a moving theater. So as much as a moving theater can be considered a ride, it's a ride, I guess. But another one that we always do when we go, except in our most recent trip. I don't think Maverick is of the age right now where he's able to tolerate sitting for 20 minutes, which is a shame. And the the song is just, it's up there with Small World. You know what I mean? It's one of those that gets stuck in your head for the whole day, and well worth it. Because there's a great big beautiful tomorrow shining at the end of every day. There's a great big beautiful tomorrow just a dream away. I love Carousel of Progress so much. And you know what? It's one that, man, I really hope that Maverick gets to a point where he's able to sit still, because the way he is right now, not a chance would he sit still long enough to make it through that ride or that experience. He did on this trip, luckily, but I think that's one of the last times for a while that we were going to be able to force him to do it calmly. Luckily, Rhodey's much bigger now than he was when we took this trip, but he's definitely a much more calmer soul than Maverick is. So I don't know if we'll have that problem with Rhodes. So by the time Maverick is able to sit through Carousel of Progress, hopefully Rhodey is, as peaceful as he is now, and we'll be able to make that one a staple again. Another ride that, you know what? Here's something different. Another ride that is, it's one that I always love to do. I don't necessarily say it's a must every single time, but it's one I love every time, is Jungle Cruise. And Jungle Cruise at Magic Kingdom is the superior of the two between Disneyland and Magic Kingdom. And simply because of one section. There's one section on the Magic Kingdom version. It's the temple scene. Disneyland doesn't have that temple scene. And it's enough to raise the bar just enough to make it the better version. There are differences between the Jungle Cruise at Disneyland and the Jungle Cruise at Magic Kingdom. Minor differences, but that temple scene is the major difference. They both have the backside of water. There's a piranha scene at Disneyland that Magic Kingdom doesn't have. But they both got the hippos, they both got the elephants, things like that. They both have the scene of the lions watching over the sleeping zebra. They both have the one where the guys are climbing up the pole because the rhino at the bottom. Backside of water. But the temple scene is enough to really put the Magic Kingdom version over the edge in making it like the superior experience. So I don't know, man. I don't know which one was made first. Actually, I do know which one was made first. Disneyland, because I think it was an opening day attraction at Disneyland. So because Disneyland was open first, it had to have been open. Disneyland has to have been the first version of the ride. They really make it seem like they take your picture at the end of the Jungle Cruise, but they don't. Not that I know of. I like the jokes a lot. I don't actually know. I don't know if I've ever met anyone who isn't a fan of the jokes on Jungle Cruise. But if you're out there, what's wrong with you? What's not to enjoy? They are definitely like dad jokes, but they're well done dad jokes. I laugh every single time. Magic Carpets of Aladdin is just Dumbo, but magic carpets. That's one where, we don't necessarily. I think we always usually end up doing one or the other. If we ride Aladdin, the magic carpets of Aladdin, we don't ride Dumbo. And if we ride Dumbo, we don't ride the magic carpets because it's really the same ride, just differently themed. Big Thunder Mountain, though. Big Thunder Mountain. I made that whole, big statement earlier where I prefer to ride all the outdoor rides at night. And you know what? That's true in almost every case, but Big Thunder Mountain, I would say. Because so much of Big Thunder Mountain is the design that you're going to want to see as you're going through the ride. Even though the ride goes pretty fast, you're still going to want to, I still would want to, I want to see the surroundings. I want to see the riding through the mountain. And it's kind of difficult to do that at night. It's kind of challenging to look at the scenery as is when you're going so fast through it. But when it's dark, it's that much harder. Disneyland's version adds a little bit of flair to it that kind of would make up for a nighttime ride. And also that added flair on the Disneyland version makes the Disneyland version a little bit better. They need to do the same revamp that they did to the Disneyland version to the Magic Kingdom version. I'm not entirely sure why they haven't added the same bits of flair to it, but there's a whole explosion scene. There's a lot more to look at on the Disneyland version. The Magic Kingdom version feels just, fast. And sure, there's stuff to look at, but it's not as exciting to look at, if that makes sense. And again, especially riding at night, what there is to look at on Big Thunder Mountain is it's much harder to see when riding at night. Still a must ride though. When we're with the whole family, it's one we will never miss out on riding. But again, on the most recent trip that we took with just the littles, it's one we didn't bother doing because they couldn't go on it, you know what I mean? So yeah. It's got to be a little more to the nighttime lighting of the ride. It doesn't take the thrill away, though. It kind of adds an almost Space Mountain element to it. Because everything's so dark. And Space Mountain is really just, a coaster ride in the dark. You do get a pretty sweet view of the lit up castle, though, from a nighttime ride on Big Thunder. Actually, watching the vlog and the video footage, I'm kind of eating my words a little bit, but at the same time, no, I don't know. I prefer riding that one during the day, is ultimately what I'm getting at. We are a fireworks family at the parks. It's hard, though. It's hard to, unless you camp out in front of the castle for a good hour before the fireworks start. It's hard to get a spot that is, worth watching the fireworks in. And then the way that they just kind of pack you in like a sardine can, it really kind of, it's I don't know, man. It's more uncomfortable, in my opinion, than anything. Sure, it's cool to see the projections on the castle. That's undeniable. Like, that's a big part of the show, a fun part of the show to witness. But it's not impressive enough to where I'm either A, willing to camp out in front of the castle for an extended period of time, miss out on other things to do in the park, or B, I'm also not willing to like fight through the crowd and like be stuck crammed in the crowd to just watch the visuals on a castle. Now, this particular trip to Magic Kingdom, we found a new exciting place to watch the fireworks from. No, we can't see the projections on the castle from this angle, but it's still a beautiful spot to watch the fireworks from. I'm not going to say specifically where it is, and if you're watching the vlogmentary and you can see somewhat of where it can be or could be and might be, but the view is over the lagoon, and you're watching the fireworks over the water, over the Mark Twain steamboat. And it's beautiful. It's a beautiful spot to watch the fireworks specifically. Again, you can't see the projections on the castle, but, you're still getting half the show. You're still getting half the show with avoiding 90% of the grievance points of being like crammed in the crowd and having to camp out, for an extended period of time before the show even starts. So if castle projections aren't necessarily a must for you, find this spot. Find the spot where you're able to watch the fireworks themselves over the lagoon, and you can still hear the music. It's still, I won't say just as magical, but it is comparable, in the way of being able to avoid the points of the pain points of watching it from like in front of the castle. So I'm just happy my wife agrees that it's good enough, because she would still ideally like to see the projections on the castle and everything, but with having a stroller and having as many kids as we do, and oftentimes the size of the group we're in, it's a lot to fight your way, or to fight our way in front of the castle to see the fireworks. So I'm very grateful to her that the view that we've found is one that she's cool with. She'll always remind me though. She's like, I would love to watch the projections on the castle, but this is okay too. So she's a saintly woman for compromising with me in that way. A ride that's fun to ride at night, but it being night really has no effect on the ride itself, is Haunted Mansion. And I'd say that goes for both Magic Kingdom and Disneyland. It's an indoor ride, so what's going on outside has nothing to do with the experience inside. But when you're waiting in line outside, it being nighttime definitely adds to the spookiness and the ambiance of the ride. So it's weird in that way. You know what I mean? It has... Yeah, riding it at night has no effect on the ride experience itself, but entering the ride, it definitely sets the mood before you get into the building. I'm gonna say that this whole time I've been saying that I don't want to compare Disneyland and Magic Kingdom the entire time, but that's all I've done this entire time. And anytime that we do a Magic Kingdom video, it's probably all I will ever do. But I think the exterior of the ride, I prefer Disneyland. The interior, so the ride, I guess, itself, Magic Kingdom. Magic Kingdom has scenes that Disneyland doesn't. So I think it makes the ride longer. Yeah, so I guess I prefer the experience at Magic Kingdom. And Disneyland used to have the iconic Hatbox Ghost that Magic Kingdom didn't, but that's recently changed, and now Magic Kingdom does have the Hatbox Ghost. So the advantage that Disneyland once had, it no longer has. What a macabre thing to see at Disneyland. A body hanging from the ceiling. So, I mean, it goes without question, right, that Haunted Mansion is a must-ride every single visit, without question. There is no exception. Doesn't matter. I mean, it's a ride for the whole family. Like, there's no height limit or anything like that, or height requirement limit. Could you imagine if there were height limits on rides? I'm sure there are on some, but it's like, no, you're too tall for this ride. It's like a lot of rides here, some people aren't tall enough, but no, you could be too tall. So there's no height requirement for the ride, so there's never a reason not to ride Haunted Mansion. I love the transforming portraits. Have you guys seen the Haunted Mansion movie? The most recent one that came out? It was pretty good. I enjoyed it. I did not enjoy the Eddie Murphy version of the ride or movie, but the most recent one with, I don't know what the main actor's name is, but Rosario Dawson's in it. Oh boy, Benny. And Danny DeVito, Owen Wilson. It's good. It's good. It captures the ride perfectly. Just like Pirates of the Caribbean, the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, I feel like really, really capture the, spirit of the ride. The most recent Haunted Mansion movie captures the spirit of the ride. And then Pirates of the Caribbean, much like Haunted Mansion, is a ride that we must do every single time we go. Every single time we take a trip to the park, without question, we ride Pirates of the Caribbean. And to hold true to the theme of this commentary, if I'm comparing the two, Magic Kingdom and Disneyland, I prefer Disneyland's Pirates of the Caribbean to Magic Kingdom's. There's just more to the ride. There's more to the ride. There's the ambiance in getting on the ride is, I don't know. But that's not to say I don't love the ride. I do love the ride. I love every ride at Magic Kingdom, and I love every ride at Disneyland. And, much like an MMA fight, just like in the UFC, when it's 1 versus 1, there's always going to be one winner and there's always going to be one loser. It's just the way it is. So when there's only two to compare, there's going to be a gold and there's going to be a silver. And Magic Kingdom just happens to have more silver medal experiences than Disneyland. Just is what it is. but that doesn't mean I'd love it any less. But I mean, even being a silver medal of the two, like, it's still Pirates of the Caribbean. It's still iconically Disney. Iconically Disney park experience. You know what I mean? Because you could talk about Pirates of the Caribbean, you could reference the ride, and people who are regulars to either park are able to connect on the experience. But look at that. There are a few things more beautiful than a castle at night. And okay, I will say this. Cinderella's castle is the more beautiful of the two castles. However, Sleeping Beauty's castle is the one I grew up on. And it's the one that I will forever love just slightly more. But see what I was talking about? Look, Fantasyland at night. The way it's lit up. It's just... It's a whole different world than it is during the day. And Main Street. Anyway, hope you enjoyed it. Hope you had fun. Check out everything else we got going on, from commentaries to our Skeleton Crew Fight Club store and all the rest. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Until next time. See ya. And there we have it. There we have it. Hopefully that was something you found enjoyable to listen to. I really do mean that, because I got another Magic Kingdom, an Epcot, a Disneyland. There's going to be more of these. And let me know. Send some feedback. Let me know on social medias at Leal Legacy or Skeleton Crew FC across all your favorite social media platforms. You can email at contact, or you know what? How about podcasts? Either one, at leallegacy.com. Leave a comment on the YouTube. Go check out the YouTube if you want to catch the visuals to everything you just heard. Watch the vloggmentary. I'm thinking about posting a version without the commentary, so it's just like a day at Disneyland with natural ambiance, you know what I mean? Just the sounds of the park. We'll see. There's a whole wide world of possibilities here, but I'm definitely going to do a few more of these with the audio to the vloggmentary being utilized as a podcast. Also, just keep a lookout for more everyday podcasts, where I just rant and rave about nothing in particular at all. More cartoon commentaries to come on the YouTube. Just go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube. It's Leal Legacy on YouTube. Also, Rumble. Have you guys heard of Rumble yet? Go to rumble.com and look us up there. We have commentaries to Disney animated features. I referenced those earlier. So far we have Snow White, Pinocchio, and Fantasia. We're doing them sequentially. So that's exciting if you're a fan of the old Disney films, and who wouldn't be? And then in our Skeleton Crew Fight Club store, in our Disnerd collection, we have corresponding apparel that goes with each of those movies. Again, Snow White, Pinocchio, and Fantasia. And that's just going to keep happening. I'm going to do more and more, just more. So keep up with everything at leallegacy.com. Shop till you drop at SkeletonCrewFightClub.com, and give us a follow on social media anywhere and everywhere. And most importantly, the most important thing is I thank you for being a friend and telling a friend.